Okay, so today I'm going to go ahead and get started on the suspension. Starting with this shock right here. This is an 01, actually this is an 03 CR250 shock. I went with the CR250 shock because the forks, like I said, are CR250 forks. I think it'd be nice to have CR250 all the way around, suspension-wise. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing taken apart. I got the GoPro set up, so it'll film that. And yeah, hopefully I'll get pretty far with this today. Okay, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Shock is apart, just like that. I used a pencil to pull off the valve stack. I think the GoPro shut off because I hit pause and forgot to hit record again. So I'm not sure when. I think that happened right before I pulled off the valve stack. But the nut that was on here was already filed down, so I didn't have to do that. It just came apart really easy. And all left with now is some nasty, nasty, nasty parts here. I've got to get these cleaned up. Look at that. So they're gonna be taking a trip or two through the parts washer. But yeah, that was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. So that's good. This is not necessarily the suspension. I think this is more categorized as the frame, but it goes hand in hand with suspension. And I'd like to show you what I did. These are my triple clamps. These are the stock. Oh, nice. Still got some masking to remove. These are actually stock CR250 triple clamps. I don't know if you remember, but the triple clamp that came on the bike had that foam all along the steering stem. Also, it was kind of a weird mount. These use the cone mounts, so you have little rubber cones that go in there, and that helps with vibrations. And the other one was just flat metal on metal, and then bolted on from the backside using an Allen head. It's a really stupid design, in my opinion. So these stock clamps should work really well. Down here are our shock pieces. The shock body, Cerakoted in tungsten. It came out really well. I'm very happy with it. All these other parts are done in graphite black. Again, very happy with it. Not perfect like anything else on this bike. There are some dry spots and things like that, but that's okay. Here's the clevis. It got cleaned up on the Prime MX pad. At least that lower aluminum part did. I took apart the rebound adjuster. It's actually kind of really tough to take it all the way apart, so I just took it apart enough to where I could grease it and make sure it's working properly, and it's all good to go. And then the shaft itself I polished using a loose wheel and some white rouge, so it's silky smooth and feels great. The only parts right now I'm waiting on is the bladder cap on this side, and then on the compression adjuster, that outer ring that the whole thing kind of threads into. I'm waiting on that. And for that, I did something a little special. Over here, now the oven's not on, and it's going to be really hard for you guys to see it, but you can kind of see that there's kind of like a little crimson, like purplish effect going on. And I'll show you what that's about later, but for right now, all you need to know is that it is curing. It's a Cerakote. It's a form of Cerakote, and it's an air cure. So it's in here. I taped it off so no dirt or anything like that is going to get in the oven. It's in a nice, clean environment in there. So that's what I'm waiting on right now, and as soon as I get those out, I'll show you. Luckily, you guys won't have to wait. It's just going to be here in a second. Okay, so the 24 hours has passed. Cerakote Clear requires, which is what I use, Cerakote Clear. MC160 is a air cure, so basically you spray it in 45 minutes to an hour. It's tack free, and then it takes 24 hours for it to dry to where you can handle it, and then it's fully cured in 5 days. So it's been 24 hours. It's safe to handle. I'm not going to mess it up or anything like that. I just can't, start using the product hardcore until that 5 days. But so what it was that I used is a product called GunCandy. And so what it is, you buy it, and this is not the same one I used, but this is an example. This is called Razorback. And you mix it with whatever clear you want. In my case, I use Cerakote. You can use their brand of clear or Duracoat or whatever it is you want. And you spray it against a black coated part. And, well, let me show you. This is what you end up with. So super, super cool, super trick, holographic kind of look. So yeah, this is just super stock IMS foot pegs. They came out super cool. I'm really happy with them. I'll be honest that it's not quite as red as I was hoping. So the one I used was called Chimera. And it looked in the pictures a lot more red than this does. It was between Chimera and Razorback here. Now Razorback is a lot more purpley pinkish. The shifts are a lot more drastic because of that. But I went with Chimera because it was just a little bit more subtle. It looked like it had a little bit more red to it. And it's not quite as red as I was hoping it was going to be, but I still think it's really cool. So I'm glad I didn't go with the Razorback. Seeing the way it is now, that would have been probably way over the top. Yeah, I'm really happy with the Chimera. I also got motor brackets done. These ones were the first things I sprayed, and they didn't. You can see there's a really heavy spot right here. They didn't turn out quite as good as the rest of the stuff did. This is where it actually was. So it was hanging and it dripped down. Yeah, it's not perfect, but nothing on the bike is going to be perfect. That's kind of a theme I'm going to keep revisiting is that if I wanted this bike to be perfect, I would have taken it to someone, paid them, and they would have made it perfect. But this is about me building a bike. Here is the outer part of the rebound adjuster. This is the lower bladder holder on the shock. Obviously, it got a little heavy as well. One thing I noticed about this is it was super, it was almost water. So when you spray it, you got to be really on the light side. And then this is the CDI holder. I just thought it would look kind of cool if it was back there, kind of shimmering like this. And I didn't even bother doing the backside because it's going to be up against the frame. Yeah, like I said, I'm super happy with how all this stuff turned out. And I'm going to go ahead and start getting these parts, which are for the shock, over here, so I can go ahead and start building the shock sometime today. Now the rest of the stuff you'll see as I start to put together the rest of the bike in the final assembly, so keep an eye out for that. So I got the shock in the oven right now. Let's see how it's doing. We're at about 275. It needs to get up to 400, so I'm going to add a little bit more time. Yeah, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that should be done. Let it cool and it'll be good to go. I made sure I went ahead and set up the time lapse out there so you guys can see that I'm not paying anyone to do this. This is all me. I'm doing it myself, and yeah, if there's any flaws, I have no one to blame but myself. Alright, just like that, shocks back together. Right as I finished cleaning it up a little bit and whatnot, I killed the GoPro and the shock, or the spring, I'm sorry. Was cooled and ready to go. I'm loving the color scheme. I like how just plain, clean, simple it is, yet you still have the couple little elements that really stand out. I'm going to take a few pictures out in the driveway so you can see it a little bit better in light. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. Obviously it's not perfect, but considering I'm not a professional Cerakoter or powder coater or shock builder of any kind, I'd say I did a pretty good job. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, now I gotta just move on to the forks and keep grinding away at the suspension. Alright my friends, the very last thing we have to do before the bike's ready for assembly. Just take apart these forks. Now, when these forks were on the bike, they had no rebound. They're a little bit better now that they're off the bike, which makes me think maybe it was just at a weird angle when they were installed on the bike. But hopefully I can find something wrong with them. I'd hate to put it all back together, having found nothing, and then it ended up being the exact same situation. But I think that the time has finally come. I can't delay it any longer. I need to take these apart. Get new seals on them. I'm going to Cerakote these outer tubes, and I'm going to try to buff these lower tubes off. Ooh, those are pretty dusty. And yeah, we'll get this done, and the bike will finally be ready for assembly. Okay, so I did just get these fork tubes Cerakoted. They're Cerakoted in graphite black. Admittedly, you know, I wanted to make it to like everything on this bike I did myself. But that being said, the sandblasting on these I got done. The reason for that is because my sandblaster, well, it just up and died on me this morning, and even if it didn't die on me, it was doing so slow. This would have taken me literally like probably close to 2 days of non-stop blasting to do. Well, not non-stop blasting, but you know, sandblasting all day. I took it to the guys that powder coated my frame, Powder House in Houston, and it took them literally 10 minutes to sandblast both of these, and they were absolutely perfect, completely smooth, perfect blast profile. So yeah, for like 20 bucks, that was well worth it. But yeah, they're coated now, and the fork tubes are shined up and looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead and reassemble these forks. Alrighty, well there are the forks. This one the cap is still off because I need to go to the store and get oil. I ran out of fork oil, so I'll run out there first thing in the morning, get some more fork oil, and yeah, it'll be ready to go, ready to rock. Super happy with how they turned out. Cerakote looks awesome, and can't wait to, to get it on the bike.